Well, let's get more now on this subject. We're joined by Frank Lavin. Now, Mr. Lavin is a former White House political director under President Ronald Reagan. He is now the chairman of Export. Now, Mr. Lavin, welcome to you. And as we mentioned, you did work in the Reagan White House, a president who we mentioned also faced an assassination attempt. Tell us what must be going on at the RNC headquarters at this very moment.
Well, this is quite a shock, quite a trauma for the political system in the United States, Jill. So immediate response to make sure that the president is okay. And the good news with President Trump is he's already been released for medical care. With President Reagan, it took a day or two for it to stabilize, for the bullet to be extracted, and for the world to know that the president was going to survive.
And once the period of danger has passed, what else might be going through their heads?
Well, I think there's two main results we see that are sort of universal in these kind of situations. One, as you were relating a minute ago, there's an outpouring of support, of grief, of sort of emotional solidarity, of condemnation of violence domestically, and as you noted, from world leaders as well. So that's the immediate response, and a very welcome one, I might say. The second response is that we normally see a political spike, a political lift out of this, because people, the American public, feels traumatized, feels sensitive to this person's injury, and wants to show support for them. So he's going to get a little lift out of this. It might just last a few weeks, but it will be measurable.
Do you see what happened today as a culmination of a period of increased political toxicity ahead of what's already a very divisive elections? How would you characterize the state of American politics?
Well, I certainly accept your premise that the political discourse in America has deteriorated, that there's more sort of acidic comments and personal comments than we've ever seen. I don't think we can say right now to the extent to which that might have contributed to this violence. This person might have been a lone operator. We don't know if he was responding to a call or suggestion. We don't know what he followed on social media. So I'd caution against drawing broader social conclusions about this violence until we know more.
I agree, but the blame game has already started. But we have got a former Republican presidential candidate, Ron Paul, talking about the need for the U.S. to get its own house in order before, worrying about external politics in other countries. Gun violence is a major issue, though, in the U.S., isn't it? How do they reconcile that with what happened today?
Well, I think we'll see that debate. By the way, I think it's a welcome debate. And again, we don't know how this man acquired the gun, if it was done legally, if there's a loophole in the law. So we have to get a little bit into the specifics about this case before we can say this points us in the direction. Is there a legislative remedy for a lone gunman trying to kill a president, or did he acquire the gun through perfectly legal means, and a gun change might not have changed the situation? We just don't know the details. So I would caution both on the political side and on the social side. Get some more facts before we start making generalizations about what America needs to do to stop this kind of violence.
Yeah, this today will certainly feed into that discussion, however. Today's events would also feed into the shape the elections takes the nearer we get to November. Will this be a new major talking point as we move away from Donald Trump's legal woes and Joe Biden's age?
I think so. I think it will, at least for the next few weeks, it will define the campaign. And remember, the formal political gathering starts Monday, the Republican National Convention. So this gives Republicans several days of national media coverage, several days of sort of thematic dominance. And President Biden, I think quite wisely, has taken his advertisements off the air, meaning it's going to be viewed as poor form to be criticizing somebody politically when he just got shot. So it's going to look bad. So pull back your negative advertisements for at least the short term. So this means for a good solid week, President Trump dominates the agenda, dominates the media, and he will also be announcing in the next day or two his vice presidential selection. So that will give him an extra lift. So I think that means he sort of has a dominant political status for a good month or so before the Democrats then meet in August, and they have a chance of maybe, recapturing some of their message.
Mr. Lavin, the fact is that each vice presidential debate, the candidates are asked how they would assume the Oval Office if the worst were to happen and if the worst were to come. With today's events, do you feel that there should and would be a renewed attention on the succession when it comes to the U.S. presidency, the number two?
Yes, I think that's a very fair comment. I think there's already been a lot of discussion in the last month or so about Kamala Harris. Should Joe Biden be reelected? Because she might very well have to step up to become president at some point. And I think you're absolutely right. This puts a spotlight on Donald Trump's choice for his running mate. And we can see several weeks of discussion and speeches and interviews and media interaction with this new person to try to evaluate that person's fitness for possibly being president someday.
Well, we appreciate your thoughts, your insight, Frank Lavin, chairman of Export Now and former White House political director. Thank you.